All right, let's move on to Buckeye Leaves. Every week we hand out Buckeye Leaves. It's what we've been doing all season long, and we keep track of those Buckeye Leaves. And um, it's just something fun that we do. No, this is not the Buckeye Leaves on the side of the helmet. Every time I post this, someone asks me, why didn't more people get Buckeye Leaves? Well, it's because it's our Buckeye Leaves we're handing out, not the team's Buckeye Leaves. So, that being said, let's go with our offensive player of the game, Chris.
You have to ask.
No, but
Give me
go
one
ahead.
J.J. Smith.
Okay. Why?
Yeah. What did he do? Was he even playing? um, I mean, yeah, I want to be different, but how do you not go JJ Smith on that? Will Howard would be the next one, but
Yeah.
uh, JJ's there's plays that JJ kind of I will almost say bailed Howard out. He didn't bail him out. Howard was just smart enough to throw the ball high and say JJ go get it. That's not a bad play by Howard. That's just being like, well, instead of taking a sack here, just chuck it to JJ. And JJ just comes down with it. And when he said nobody can stop him, he wasn't wrong. The only team that can stop him is us if we don't target him. Yeah, that 10 minimum targets a game, 10 minimum. So
So
yeah,
for the sake of making this a little bit more entertaining, if it give me your second Buckeye you would give it to after JJ.
I'd give it to Will
Will,
after that.
Chris.
Will played a real good game.
You know, just to be different, I'll go with Travion. Although
Yeah.
Will would have been deserving as well.
Okay.
Travion had a great game too. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. JR.
Yeah, obviously JJ is number one. I have a new rule, which is if you do something and the other team is celebrating as if you did it or you didn't do it, and they have to realize that you did in fact do it, you are automatically player of the game. There is no ifs and buts about it. If I'm looking for a secondary player of the game on an offense side, I mean, I hate to do the same thing, but I mean, you know what? No, I can't do that. I would like to
You were
do
going
it,
to
but I
say
won't.
offensive line. I know you were.
No, no. Well, it was the blocking of the wide receivers, and I was trying to think of a way because there was some runs out to the outside, specifically Brandon Innes, who blocked his tail off. I mean,
Oh yeah.
just did a fantastic job. But I don't think I can give a Buckeye Leaf just for a wide receiver blocking. But I do want to acknowledge how
Yeah.
fantastic that
Have
was.
you
So
ever
I'll give it to Will
seen
Howard.
have you ever seen a wide receiver who's fourth on the depth chart be more happy than that guy?
Love
Never.
him. He's a
He
Buckeye.
is
Love him.
He is
he
awesome.
is so he is so in love with the game of football and being a Buckeye, man. That dude, his enthusiasm is contagious.
See what
I
he said about
listen.
him and JJ. They've been playing together since they were 9 years old, and he says that
Yeah.
the coach used to think that they were high school kids playing the way they were playing against little league players.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I loved his little quick he went live or whatever on Twitter in the locker
Hmm.
room and gave Ryan Day a big hug. Yeah, he's contagious. It's Jeremiah Smith, and I'll go with the offensive line because I thought they did a phenomenal job for what was our biggest concern going into playoffs. They are really putting that to rest. Um, let's go with our defensive MVP, player of the game, Chris.
Oh man, where do you go? Because I mean, you could go a lot of directions with this.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna give it to Captain Jack. Man, he was
Okay.
all over the place out there. 2 sacks and 3 pass deflections. That's pretty tough.
I'd love to go Jack because he deserves it. I'm going to go Cody Simon because my goodness, and when's the last time a Ohio State linebacker was that all over the field? I mean, he's been fantastic.
What did he have? 11 tackles.
11 tackles, 2 sacks. It's ridiculous.
Rose Bowl defensive MVP.
Mhm.
It's another one where you guys have taken both of the best answers, and I'm going to try to be different. I don't think the stats will justify this one, but I think people who watch the game and watch him play will understand. I'm actually going to go with Tyreek Williams
Yeah, he
in
was
this
great.
Oh, he
one.
was gobbling it up in the middle.
They were not running the ball at all if you weren't anywhere close to the middle of the line, you were not getting anywhere with how much push Tyleek Williams was getting and how he was getting around his man. He made the interior of that Oregon defense or that Oregon offensive line look like high schoolers. I mean, the way he was treating them the entire game.
Oh, let's see here. We've got in the chat. Let me go back real fast. Bobby Mack says Jack and Cody are his.
You could also give it to Caleb Downs.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, you give it to Caleb Downs just about every game.
That's true. Yeah.
How
Lathan
about
Ransom.
Igbenogson, who's the happiest guy to have ACC officiating that
Oh,
you've ever
do you
seen?
think when it was announced ACC again that Igbenogsen's like,
He started drooling a little bit right here.
Defensive linemen are pissed off, and he's like, "No, guys, this is a good thing."
Oh, Lacey says Jack and Cody. By the way, Lacey, my wife loves when you post pictures on Twitter of your dog. She's in love with your little doggy. Tyler says Jack. Kenneth, Cody, Simon cracking helmets is a real thing. It is, dude. About that, can you remember a linebacker who, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, has improved as much as Cody Simon, other than Sonny Styles in the same season? Like,
Yeah.
oh
You know
my
what? You
God.
could go back to Justin Hilliard, his injury plagued career, his last season with Ohio
But he
State.
never really had that. He had a game. But he didn't like the run Cody Simon on is on
I'm not
right
saying
now.
he's as good as Cody Simon. I'm saying Hilliard for a minute there was like, oh man, look at Hilliard. He's getting better and better. But Simon's been like, he just went from another guy to a solid player to, oh my gosh, how is he not an All-American?
Yeah,
I mean, he's going to end the season with 100 tackles.
Mm-hmm.
and
So that's pretty good.
let's be honest. I don't know of anybody who's going into this draft whose draft stock has rose as much as his has.
Yeah.
I can't think of one.
I have a theory on Cody Simon. I think that Jim Knowles discovered that Caleb Downs can do anything. And right now, Caleb Downs is playing that hybrid linebacker safety role. Because I remember pointing out in the Nebraska game, I was like, Caleb Downs is in the box way more. And you continue to see him in the box. And I think it's been a really good decision because Lathan Ransom is such a heat-seeking missile in the run game. As soon as that ball gets handed off, you can see him traveling 10, 12 yards from deep at the safety spot to go make a tackle.
And he loves to
for
hit.
only a 2 or 3 yard game. I mean, like, it is absolutely ridiculous how good Lathan Ransom is to be able to do that. And then for Caleb Downs to play more of that Mike kind of hybrid linebacker role, so that way Cody Simon can use his athleticism to get to the quarterback and kind of be more free playing. I've watched a lot of videos on people trying to understand the Ohio State defense, and everybody that I watch says after the Nebraska game, we don't have a name for this. Like, this, you have a safety playing linebacker, you have a safety playing deep, and then he also comes up and run support, and then you have cornerbacks that are just on islands the entire game but don't get beat. They're like,
Since the Oregon game, defense has been on point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, this is the Silver Bullets in the modern form. And what I mean by that is back when we had the Silver Bullets, when we ran a 4-3, like, 5 every down, basic defense, they were flying downhill. Yes, because everybody just ran the football back then. Now, with teams spreading you out and you have to defend the RPO, which is something that we have, as a defense, have struggled with for the better part of more than a decade, hence in comes Jim Knowles. This is the first time where I can say this reminds me of our old school Silver Bullets defense, but in modern day form. All right, we need to hustle so JR can get out of here. Let's go with the offensive play of the game, Chris.
Good luck, Chris.
Well, I'll tell you what. Give me Jeremiah's 45-yard touchdown reception.
Which one? Which one was that? First one?
That was I believe so.
Okay.
I'm going to go Jeremiah's second TD because he had that safety and ice skates, and it was awesome to watch. The safety was in was on Mars, and Jr. just juked him out of his shoes. And the way they line up Jr. kind of not in the tight end position, but more of an like a slot towards the offensive line, and he just goes straight. I think it was a couple of guys breaking it down, going, "This is actually genius by Chip Kelly. He's keeping him Jr. all over the field, or JJ all over the field
I'm
to."
out there as well. Yes.
Cheering them on. Yay, go!
Where you get JJ all over the field, where they can't bracket him, they can't match him up, they can't, they can't focus on him. He's just everywhere, and that was so wide open. It's like McAfee's call on that was hilarious. So I loved it.
Pat McAfee is great. And the only thing I don't like is that you don't get to see you don't get highlights of Pat McAfee calling the highlights. Like you can find highlights of Paul Keels calling it and stuff, but you can't find highlights of Pat McAfee. It kind of stinks. I'm actually gonna go with the very first play of the game to G. Scott because I'll be
Ooh.
honest, when that play happened, like I thought, like as soon as G. Scott was motioning over there, I saw Will Kazmarek over there. I saw the other wide receiver. I was like, all right, they're gonna run a screen pass to G. Scott here. Okay, like sure, trying to do something different. And then Will looks over and then he doesn't throw it to him, and I'm like, hold on, what's going on here? And then I see G streaking up the sideline there, and I was like, no, they did not. And it was in that moment when he threw that ball to G, I turned over to my father-in-law and I said, Ohio State's going to win this game by double digits. I literally said that to him, and he said, no. And I said, yeah. I said, that is the kind of aggression we haven't seen out of an Ohio State offense in a long time. And when Ryan Day is aggressive, I don't think any team can beat him. And they won by a little bit more than double digits, but that play signaled to me that this was going to be a game where Ohio State was going to do just about whatever they wanted on offense.
Technically, it wasn't by more than double digits. It wasn't triple digits. So technically, you were correct.
It felt that way in the first half, though.
Yeah. It that and the chat agrees with you that play basically set the tone of the game. It essentially was a wheel route, is what it was.
Yeah.
It was a tight end motioned into the backfield and then ran a wheel route, and they're like, "What? Like what is this?" Right? Yeah, it was pretty cool. Defensive play of the game, Chris.
Ooh, where to begin? You know what? I think you mentioned it earlier, and I think that's the one I'm going to go with, and that's where Cody Simon just absolutely blew up Dylan Gabriel. That sack he got, Gabriel saw God.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm gonna go with that one.
He watched enough film. He saw a cracked helmet and thought, "Uh-oh." Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Caleb Downs' PDU, where he when he broke up a pass when it was on the sideline. Gabriel was rolling to his left, I believe it was, and it's just the kind of thing that Gabriel kills people with. And for Caleb Downs to dive head first, almost like he was taking a bullet for the receiver to knock that ball down, I thought to myself, I mean, granted, there was plenty of other plays that showcased this. I was like, wow, this team is playing with every ounce of fire they have. And you don't see plays like that very often. And it just, I thought to myself, and not letting him have that catch on the sideline for a first down was just massive. And it kind of summed up the entirety of the defense for the game.
Just every single sack that happened. I don't know how else to describe it. 8 sacks in the game. Just the fact that they got to Dylan Gabriel that many times, because, I mean, like I've watched Dylan Gabriel all season, guys. Like he always has somewhere else to go with the ball. He always has a second plan, something else going on. Like he always is so controlled back there. He's such a veteran. He had no idea what to do when the pass rush was coming in. It was a combination of just straight beating the guys, like you said, Eric, and then it was also a combination of just the secondary doing their job so well. So for me, every single sack.
Yeah. Now the next time I watch film, I'm going to be watching. Oh gosh, Jiminy Christmas. not Caleb Downs, although that would be a lot of fun to watch just that too. But our cornerbacks,
Mm-hmm.
I wanna focus in on them because I think some of the confidence that kind of some of the misguided confidence from the Oregon fan base was on the fact that Denzel Burke, they thought they were going to torch him again. And I kept reminding everybody, Denzel Burke has had one really bad game in his career, and it was in Eugene, Oregon. I just didn't think he was going to have that bad of a game again. And I don't know how many receptions he gave up in that game, but it
0. Goose
it
egg.
was it was
Yeah.
zero.
They
Okay.
only targeted him one time on that deep throw, and it was nowhere close. So,
Yeah. So I mean, in all honesty, that's my defense. That I could pick him for defensive MVP if I wanted to.
mhm.
Because if you look at where he was in Eugene and where he was in Pasadena, to me, that was a huge part of why we were able to do what we were able to do.
Can we give him
Because
most improved player from that game?
sure, there we go. Absolutely.